Areas by Isabel Calderon. Okay, so first of all, what is area? Area is the amount of space an object takes up, and as you can see, this rectangle is showing exactly what area is. Okay, so first we're gonna learn about area of a rectangle. And as we can see, a rectangle has 4 sides, has 2 pairs of parallel lines, and has 4 right angles. Okay, and so the formula is going to be length times width. Okay, so now let's try some problems. So in easy problems, we're just going to find the area of this rectangle with the length of 12 inches and the width of 3 inches. So now we're just going to plug in those numbers into our formula, which is going to equal, area is going to equal to 12 times 3, which then is going to equal to area is 36 inches squared. Okay, and don't forget your units. Alright, so now let's try a hard problem. So find the area of the shaded region. Okay, so pretty much we're just gonna find this outer part. And to do that, we're gonna have to find the area of both of these shapes. Okay, so first we're gonna find the area of this rectangle on the inside, which is gonna be A is equal to 4 times 3, which is equal to 12 centimeters. And now we're going to find the area of this shaded out here. Okay, so which is going to be area is equal to 5 times 8, which is equal to 40 centimeters. And to find the shaded region, all we're going to have to do is subtract 12 minus 40, or 40 minus 12, which is the better way, which is then is going to equal, area is equal to 28 centimeters squared. Okay, so next we're gonna do is the area of a triangle. And as we can see that their triangles have 3 sides that are not always equal, and have 3 lines, obviously, and have 3 angles, okay? And the formula is gonna be, for the area is gonna be A is equal to 1/2 base times height, okay? Okay, so now let's try a problem. So an easy problem. So like we did last time, we're just gonna do 1/2 base times height, which is the base is 10 meters and the height is 13 meters. And so we're just going to plug in those numbers and we're going to get area is equal to 1/2 10 times 13, which then equals 65 meters squared. Okay, so now let's try a harder problem. Okay, so in this one, it seems a little weird because it's true. So all we're going to do is, as we can see that this whole space pretty much means that we're just gonna take this triangle and flip it all the way around, and so we can form a square or parallelogram or whatever. And as you can see, it's gonna be the same thing. All we're gonna do, we're not gonna do anything different from switching any numbers, like cutting 4 in half or anything. We're just gonna plug in the numbers as usual. So we're just gonna get area is equal to 1/2 times 4 times 10, which is then equal to, area is going to equal to 20 inches squared. Okay, so now area of a parallelogram. Okay, so as we can see, the opposite sides of parallelogram are parallel, equal in length, as we can see. Okay, and then opposite angles are equal in measure. Okay, and so for that, our formula is going to be A equals base times height. And to prove that, in this next slide we're going to do this. Okay, to prove it, we're going to say that it has the same area of a rectangle. Okay, we're going to prove that, and then the triangles are congruent. We're going to prove that as well. And so to prove that, so this is where this is the height, okay? And so this is pretty much, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this triangle and switch it all the way around and see what happens. Okay, now as you can see that a parallelogram does have the same area of a rectangle, because if we cut this, because once we find out the problem, because once we do an actual problem, this is always going to be the height, and we don't really care about what this side is equal to, because that's not what we're trying to look for. So therefore, once we switch this triangle over to here, we're just gonna get a rectangle. Okay, and then so we proved that it has the same area of a rectangle and the triangles are congruent, because if we switch this is exactly what we get. Okay, so now let's try a problem. Easy problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as area is equal to base times height. So we're going to do area is equal to 12 times 16, which then is equal to area is equal to 192 inches squared. Okay, so now let's try a harder problem. Well, it's not really hard, but it may look hard because this 7 may throw you off, but we don't really care about this 7, okay? All we're trying to find is base times height. And so we're just going to plug in these numbers into our equation or our formula for our area for our parallelogram. And so we're going to get area is equal to 15 times 5, which then is equal to 75 meters squared. Okay, so next we're going to talk about area of a trapezoid. So as we can see, that it has no equal sides, has no equal angles, but it has two sides that are parallel, as you can see on this side. Okay, so and for our formula, we're going to do 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times height. And as we can see this, because since there are no equal sides besides these two parallel, we're gonna have two bases instead. Okay, so now let's try an easy problem. So find the area of this. Okay, so first we're gonna do 1/2 times base 1, which is 25 inches, plus 13 inches times the height, which is 18. So then when we put that all together, we're gonna get this. And then once we solve this, we're going to get area is equal to 142 inches squared. And for this one is just the same thing. Just because it's a different shape doesn't mean it's any harder. But we're just going to plug in the numbers as we did last time. We're going to get A is equal to 1/2 times 2 plus 1 times 3. And so we're going to get area is equal to 4.5 millimeters squared. Okay, so now we're going to talk about area of a circle. Okay, so as we can see, a circle is pretty much explained as a closed plane curve every point which is equidistant from a point within the curve. Okay, and so our formula is going to be pi r squared. Okay, all right. So now we're going to try an easy problem. So as we did in the other one, we're just going to plug in the numbers as always. So area is going to equal to pi times 14 squared. Okay, so now when we multiply all these together, we're going to get areas equal to about 65.75 inches squared. Okay, so now let's try a harder problem. So just because now this is the diameter, and what we're really trying to find is the radius, right? Because that's what we need to plug in for the number. So all we need to do is divide this in half, and we're going to get 18, which is then our r. And so now we can plug it into our equation, and now we can say area is equal to pi 18 squared. And so when we multiply it, we're going to get about 1017.88 centimeters squared. Okay, so now we're going to find the area. So now we're going to talk about area of a surface area, and net. Okay, so there's no really certain formula for each of these, because as we can see, surface area can be used in two different ways, which is in a three-dimensional shape and nets. Okay, so now let's try a problem for each. So as we can see right here, surface area we're just pretty much trying to find what all of this equals. And as we can see, that since this is a cube, we can say that area is equal to 6a squared. And because of that, because we know that there are 6 faces, we can say that 6 is the right. And so for a, we don't know what's like the measure of each side. So, and squared, right? And so now that we know we have 5 meters here, we can plug in 5 for a. which therefore is equal to surface area is equal to 6 times 5 squared, which is 150 meters squared. Okay, so that's surface area for just a normal three-dimensional shape. And so next is we're going to do a net. And for this one, we're going to do a cylinder. And as we can see on this is the radius and this is the height, okay? And so when we open it up, this is how it looks, right? Okay, so now to find this, we know that R, as we can see right here, is 3.3 centimeters, and it's going to be the same thing because this is the same thing because this is the top part and this is the bottom part, so they're equal to each other. And then the height is 25 centimeters. So now what we need to do is we need to find a formula that how we're going to find this. And so we're going to do two separate formulas because they're two circles and a rectangle. Okay? So we're still gonna use pi, we're still gonna use the radius, we're still gonna use the height. And to be able to do that, we're gonna use this equation. Okay, so we know because the surface area is 2 pi r squared because there are two of them, right? Okay, and so pi and then r squared. And so for this one, it's going to be 2 as well, pi times r times height. Okay, so now when we plug in the numbers, we're going to get surface area is equal to 2 pi times 3.3 squared plus 2 pi times 3.3 times 25, which then we get 68.42 plus 518.36 about. And when we add those together, we're going to get 586.78 centimeters squared. Alright, thanks for watching my video. And that's it.